Today's question reads, what strategies do you recommend for staying present? How do I keep my thoughts present? My husband had a friend with benefits for almost 10 years. He is very remorseful and ashamed and regretful. He is doing everything to keep our marriage together, but I'm struggling with all of what he did to me. So 12 years ago, I would have been incredibly jealous of your situation. At that point, I thought that I would have given anything to have a partner that was remorseful and was willing to do anything that it took to rebuild the marriage. But from my perspective now, I really see that in some ways I had it easier because I didn't have to learn to look at that person that hurt me so badly and see them again with love and how to learn to trust that person again. So my heart goes out to you because the situation that you are in is not an easy one by any means. And before I begin to answer your question, I just want to make it very clear that I have not been in that situation. And so it's quite possible that some of the advice that I give to you may be completely off base. But what I'm pulling from is all of the conversations that I have had with people over the last 12 years, many of which have been in the same situation that you are in today. So first of all, I want you to give yourself permission to be angry, to be sad, to be disappointed. I think sometimes when the other person is doing the quote unquote right thing, we feel like we don't have the right to have all of those emotions. But no matter what your husband is doing now, he had 10 years of hurting you. And that is real. And your emotions and feelings around that are completely valid. And so often when we try to shove things away, when we say that we shouldn't feel that way, well, it just makes it bigger. So give yourself permission to feel all of those things. Also, make sure that you have an outlet where you can say and scream and yell all of those ugly feelings that you have. Now, it doesn't make sense to direct all of that at your husband because that's no way to repair a relationship. But that doesn't mean that you need to hold all of that inside and let it fester. So whether it be a therapist, a trusted friend, a journal, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you have an outlet to let all of those things out. Try to find some compassion for both of you. Compassion for him as to what it was that he was missing inside of himself that led to the affair. Compassion for him in the difficulty that he's having right now of trying to deal with his own shame and his own remorse. But even more so, compassion for yourself. Compassion for yourself for struggling with handling all of this intense betrayal. You're not expected to simply get over this. There is no such thing as just picking up and moving on as though this never happened. And so be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. What has happened is major, and it's something that you're not going to heal from, or even worse, bounce back from. I hate that phrase, easily. This is something that's going to take time for you to heal from, and that's okay. Now, you don't mention intrusive thoughts, but from my own experience being cheated on, I have a feeling that that's part of what you're dealing with, that it's hard for you to be present because your brain keeps throwing up all of these memories and recollections and images and thoughts and all of this from the past or from thinking about what that 10 years really was. And you want to be mindful on how you approach these thoughts. If you just try saying, I shouldn't feel them, and you just pretend that they're not there, they're not going to go anywhere. On the flip side, if you nurture them, if you allow yourself to spend, hours thinking about those things, well, you're training your brain to stay in that place. Instead, what you want to really strive for is just an awareness, kind of a curiosity, and then a release of, oh, I'm thinking this again. I don't want to be thinking this right now. Let me focus my attention on something else. Or, oh, I wonder why this thought, this memory is coming up for me right now. And then investigate the meaning behind it rather than that thought itself. And if you find yourself in that sort of obsessive spiral that we can so easily get into when it comes to infidelity, it's so important to interrupt that. Get up, get moving, get yourself out of whatever space that you're in. Give your brain something else to focus on. If you give it too much space to think about the affair, right now that's where it's going to go. If you find yourself repeatedly bringing up the affair and asking him for details or for apologies or whatever it is, do some thinking before you open your mouth. What is your purpose in initiating this conversation? Are you aiming to hurt him, to punish him for what he has done? Or is your goal to find some sort of understanding, some sort of processing of what's happened so that you can heal? That motivation behind whatever it is you're asking is so important. And obviously, you want to focus on the healing of the marriage, not on the punishment. One of the hardest things with betrayal is that this person that was our teammate, our partner, has become the person that we are at war with. And so one of the things that can be so beneficial is if you can find anything where the two of you can be a united front against this external thing, whatever it may be, that can be so helpful in kind of getting your thoughts to shift forward and also rebuilding that teammate relationship that you once had. And then finally, so much of what I've said has been focused on the relationship. But what I really want you to do right now is do something just for you. Think about something that brings you joy. Think about what gets you into that flow state. And I want this to be something that is completely separate from him. And spend time every week in that space. Reconnect with yourself. Do those things that fill your mind with so much joy and so much purpose and so much energy and excitement that you can't help but to be present. Because one of the things that is so important and yet so hard when we're first healing from infidelity is recognizing that your life is so much bigger than just this.